This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Russ Capper.
Hi, I'm Russ Capper, and welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. First up today, our topic is energy reality, and our guest is Bill King, public policy expert and Houston Chronicle columnist. And the discussion will center around what truly is the cheapest fuel available for producing electricity. Then up after that, we check in once again with the SURGE Accelerator and join Sarah Groen, a co-founder with SURGE, to talk with Jason Ethier, co-founder and CEO of Dynamo Micropower, the company committed to changing the portable power generation space. All of that right after this.
At BKD, we understand the constantly shifting nature of the energy industry. As a national CPA and advisory firm, we serve energy clients from the beginning to the end of the cycle. Our experienced energy advisors serve approximately 300 energy companies in exploration, midstream, downstream, oilfield services, and power production. Plus, we're the largest North American member of the Praxity Global Alliance, which means we can help you wherever you operate. Contact a BKD advisor or visit us online to learn more.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Hi, I'm Russ Capper, and welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. Our topic today, energy reality. And my guest is public policy expert, columnist with the Houston Chronicle, and former of counsel with Bracewell Juliana, Bill King. Bill, welcome to the Energy Makers Show.
Thanks, Russ. Pleased to be here.
You bet. Well, I follow your column regularly, but your recent one about energy reality really caught my attention from the standpoint of thinking you hit the ball out of the ballpark and that message needs to be conveyed to the market in general and beyond. Share with us the background on that article.
The inspiration for the column was I was watching Fareed Zakaria one Sunday morning, and the new executive director of the Sierra Club was being interviewed. And he was talking specifically about the Keystone Pipeline, but as the interview progressed, it became clear what he was really talking about was a general sort of war on hydrocarbons and advancing the idea that we needed to abandon hydrocarbons as a fuel source right now. And I just thought that was so ludicrous. And by the way, I also said it would be cheaper if we went off and did that. So I went off and did a little research, and I found a report by the Energy Information Administration, which is a federal agency controlled by the Obama administration, not exactly friends of the oil and gas industry.
Right.
And what it showed is that hydrocarbons, especially coal and natural gas, are much, much cheaper at producing electricity than wind or solar are. And even if you factor in the cost of sequestering all of the carbon, which has, I think, questionable ecological basis, but even if you do that, it's still much cheaper than wind or solar, especially solar. And the cost of energy has a tremendous impact on people. Maybe not so much on you and me, but on folks that are living in Houston, Texas, on Social Security and rely on their air conditioning all summer long.
Right.
If you double or triple that bill, it's going to be a real hardship for a lot of people.
Well, absolutely. And I loved how you got specific, actually, in the numbers that the government produced on the cost of those. I contend, Bill, that the rank and file don't really comprehend how important energy is to the overall economy.
Well, I think that's true. We take it for granted in so many different ways. But we had this very real-life example here a few years ago when Hurricane Ike swept through town.
Absolutely.
And it just shut down the entire city. You couldn't go to work. You couldn't get gas out of a gas station. I mean, everything was completely shut down. And that gives you some sense for how important energy really is to our daily lives and to the economy.
Right. Well, the grocery stores start running out of food after just a few days. So it's really huge. And then add on top of that, we've completely turned our future upside down to the benefit on available fuel for the future with the incredible innovation about horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing. Now we have an abundance. I don't understand why there's not a national celebration going on right now. I mean, peak oil, energy crisis, sending our money to people that didn't like us all the time. We had LNG ports here made to export. Made to import, and now they're converting to export. It's unbelievable.
Well, the whole idea of peak oil, which was very popular, kind of accepted as a inevitability just a few years ago, is now completely turned around. And that's the danger in taking a trend in the past and projecting it into the future. And this applies in many areas of public policy, because there are all sorts of factors that can intervene and change that trend, especially disruptive technologies, which is what happened in this case.
Absolutely. And really, not only was it peak oil we were afraid of, but also at the same time, the free enterprise and capitalism was breaking out around the world. And India and China, I think it was Thomas Friedman that wrote, all the Chinese want to drive a Buick too. So we were running out and we were seeing competing demand everywhere. And now that's over, right?
Right. Uh-huh. And something that I think that is interesting is my friends in the oil and gas industry tell me that these shale fields exist all around the world. And we're really the only country that's exploiting them at this point in time. So there is going to be a day where other countries are going to start figuring this technology out, to start doing it, and they're going to find shales in China and in Russia and Lord knows where else they're going to find them before it's over with. So this is going to go on for a long time. Right.
Well, I really appreciate you coming in. And if a viewer would want to go find your article that I'm talking about today, can they find it on your website?
The best place to go actually is to chron.com, Chronicle's website, and look in the opinion section, and there's a little web page that has about the last 20 weeks of my columns on there.
Well, Bill, I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your perspective with us.
You're welcome. Pleased to be here.
You bet. And that wraps up my discussion with Bill King. We'll be back with more right after this.
Welcome to this edition of The Power of People, where we explore how to bring out the best in your valuable assets. My name is Robin Knowles, and I am the President and CEO of TDS, the Workforce Performance Experts. Today we're talking with Ken Davenport about workplace safety. Nice to have you here, Ken.
Thanks for having me, Robin.
Accident prevention is critical. What are the business costs associated with workplace accidents?
Well, American businesses spend in excess of $170 billion a year in costs associated with occupational injuries and illnesses. So safety and accident prevention are essential, and they're especially critical in the process industries.
So what can organizations do to prevent workplace accidents?
Well, there are a number of factors that can be incorporated into an organization, and I'll touch on a few of those today. First and foremost, organizations should focus on physical factors by designing equipment that's safe to use and easy to use, and designing a safer work environment. But motivation is important also. Companies should encourage their employees to observe safety practices by rewarding safe behavior. There's also intangible rewards such as praise, a pat on the back, or public recognition is a great motivator to employees to work safely. Tangible rewards work. T-shirts, on-the-spot rewards for employees observed practicing safe procedures. But the most important is the safety climate. Organizations that have strong safety climate, research shows that they have fewer accidents and injuries. Place a priority on safety by publicizing the importance of safety in the organization, ensuring that everyone knows the importance that's placed on it, and also have good policies and procedures in place that work towards safe behavior.
Well, thank you so much for the information today, Ken.
Thank you.
This has been another edition of The Power of People. Join us again next time as we learn more about how you can develop excellence in your workforce while getting the best possible ROI from your human capital.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show, featuring right now, once again, the SURGE Accelerator, and I'm joined by Sarah Groen, co-founder of SURGE Accelerator. Welcome back.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. Well, tell me who you brought in today.
Sure. Today I brought with me Jason Ethier from Dynamo Micropower. Came to Houston to participate in SURGE from Boston.
Cool.
Tell us a little bit about Dynamo Micropower.
So we are trying to build a new type of engine for really people who need low amounts of power. And there are a lot of those kinds of people, and they all have very specific needs. And one of the reasons we came to Surge is to help us figure out exactly what that ideal product is. And we've had a lot of good leads taking us in a lot of different directions, and all of them look like good business. But part of this is finding the best opportunity.
First, I want to ask you a little bit about your team. You were recently featured in Forbes' Top 30 Under 30 in Energy. So can you talk a little bit about that and the rest of your team and what makes
Sure.
you guys great?
Well, I was surprised and honored to be in Forbes, and that was in 2012. A lot of that has been us building this team, building this new idea that's truly disruptive. And we have a great group of guys together that really make me look good, which is nice. My co-founder, Ivan, who we don't see much of, he's really quiet, but he's really smart and one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He's finishing up his PhD. We're also working with Matt Lazarevich. He was the former CTO of Beacon Power and very experienced in taking rotating products and taking them to the market for the energy industry. Before that, he worked at GE's small turbine division, where he actually ran that division for a few years. And he's helping us build out the engineering team that is going to make this run better than anything else out there.
When you talk about what you're doing, you kind of are still looking at places where it will be effective. But what is the array of potential customers?
Sure. I mean, anywhere you need a portable energy supply, that's where these things get sold. And you can segment out into smaller and smaller groups within that. The two places we're really looking and focusing right now is in oil and gas. And one of the reasons for that is when you're generating power where the grid is not, there's a higher need for more value creation that you get from generating power cost effectively. So that's one thing that we're really looking into is providing power at the actual wellhead offsite.
Oh, okay.
And we think we can really make a huge impact there. The other place we're looking is in places where you need more modular power. One of our benefits of our technology is we found a really cost-effective way to make a lot of small gas turbines, and that hasn't been done before. And the question is, where do you need to put something where there's a small capital costs and the other weaknesses of turbines aren't as important? And we think that might be in providing backup power and in highly distributed generation, where you want to support the grid in times when it just needs a little bit more capacity. When
you talked about at the well site, and so what would you actually use as fuel?
Well, what's really interesting about turbines, and we've known this for the 100 years turbines have been around, is they will eat pretty much anything that goes in there and convert it into power. And one of the things that you see a lot in the oil and gas industry is they are trying to take the big diesel systems and convert them to run off of what is called case gas. When you drill a well and you pull up the oil, the lighter hydrocarbons come off as vapor, essentially methane. And it's hard to get the smaller engines to do that very cost effectively. Our turbine is being developed to run on these gases. It's not just methane that's in there. There's water, there's CO2, there's nitrogen, there's heavy elements which can cause corrosion, and it's a big challenge for reciprocating solutions. But we're working with a great team of guys out of Ronkonkoma, New York, who are going to help us build a burner system that'll allow us to burn this without detrimentally affecting our system life.
So Jason, you brought a mock-up of some of your product. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is a full-size mock-up of a 1 kilowatt engine. It's actually the first one we put out about a year ago, or 2 years ago, when I was my co-founder was at Duke University. One of the things that we really focused on was building a system that was very easy to assemble and very easy to service. And so we talk about the fact that we can take this thing apart and put it together much like a sandwich. All of the key features are built in such a way that it's really easy to manufacture, but also once you put it together, it would be hard to mess up. And we've really spent a lot of time trying to make it so that these things are manufactured using very common processes you find in the automotive industry, but also so you can put them together with not having to be the most skilled person. When I put this thing together in the lab, I don't have any special tools. I'm just using a 7/16 wrench, and it takes me about half an hour to completely assemble and disassemble a system, which is a huge difference from what you see in the industry today.
Well, is this significantly smaller than a turbine in a normal generator that produces that much? Significantly.
Oh, it's significantly smaller than a diesel system.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of little nuanced reasons for that.
Okay.
The easiest way to explain this is with a diesel system, they like to run at really low RPMs, and every time they do a combustion cycle, they have to suck in the air, and then they do a combustion process, and then they expel the air. This is a system that really continuously compresses the air, continuously burns it, and continuously expels it, so you don't have that slowing down effect. And we can run it at much higher RPM. So the RPMs on this unit are on the order of tens of thousands of RPMs, whereas a diesel system run at 2,000, 3,000 RPM.
Okay. So, but comparatively speaking to these whole house generators that we use a lot in the hurricane zones, after you add everything else to your small turbine, how big does the package get?
So this is a 1 kilowatt unit, and actually for a home where we would do backup power, we'd probably do something closer to 7 kilowatts.
Okay.
But that whole package is still the size of 6 cubic feet is the metric we're using.
Wow.
That's about the size of a mini fridge.
Wow.
So your company is based in Boston, but you've come down to Houston. Is that because you're going after this oil and gas well, or tell us a little bit about what you're looking to get while you're here?
I think the first rule of thumb is you want to be near the customers, and a lot of Texas is the hub for oil and gas, but also I'm learning the cutting edge in the power grid, as it seems. When you think about it, if you're based in Boston and you're building your product up there and there's a problem in the field, it's a 2-week cycle time to really get someone out there and fix the problem. And granted, it might be a 9-hour drive to West Texas, but that's something that can be fixed overnight. And we can send out a team and really work to solve the problem. And we're actually seeing a few companies come out of Boston that are hardware companies that have moved to the Houston area because, as it turns out, the oil and gas industry needs the clean energy products that are being developed in the university areas in Boston. So there's not a well-established, but an establishing pipeline of companies that are coming down here, and we're really following the footsteps of a few of these people.
Well, Jason, I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. And that wraps up our discussion with Jason Ethier, the founder of Dynamo Micropower. And this is The Energy Maker Show, heard on the radio and seen online at TheEnergyMakers.com.